Production application with Lynx.js. That's why I named it my first few months with Lynx.js. So actually, I haven't produced any production applications, but I know more than your usual developer. I started around with Lynx.js this March, 9 months ago, with Livestream, with articles. I met with the team that actually created Lynx.js, so I know some. How many of you actually heard about Lynx.js? Heard the name, read some headlines? Okay, 25%. How many of you actually started the project with Lynx.js? Okay, one bootstrapped project. Cool. And how far did you go with it?
Until we switched to React Native project.
Are you saying that you actually started something that you were hoping to bring to production? Congrats, awesome, nice. Living on the bleeding edge and then dropping. Let's talk some more later. Okay, so this is about Lynx.js. And this is not working. And I think I have the live stream going on. So, yes, I'm Łukasz Chludziński. I work at Callstack as an engineering manager. I like to do this kind of things, mostly speaking on meetups and conferences, hosting React Universe on our podcast. And we actually do a live stream once a week on Thursdays, where I started talking about Lynx. So that's my story with Lynx.js. I first talked about it on the live stream and started playing around with it. You can find me here and here. So, why should you actually care about Lynx.js? This is just a new framework. New frameworks are dropping each week. It feels like just a few days ago, Snapchat dropped new framework, React Native competitor Valdi. I'm gonna be speaking about that tomorrow. This one is about Lynx. So why should you care? So first of all, it's backed by ByteDance, and this is a company behind TikTok. I can see you laughing, but TikTok has actually like billions and billions of users. So we should care because Lynx.js is powering this like huge application that you might not be using, but your kids or their friends are using it definitely. So, like I said, it's already used in TikTok and other applications by ByteDance. It is engineered. The project is led by former architect from Meta. I can just speak. Those are just bullet points.
That doesn't matter.
I don't have any fancy animations. Don't worry about it. So the project is led by former architect at Meta who was on React Forget team. React Forget is a former name of React compiler. So Xfaang, I think. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Shin names is cut off there, but he was the one that actually presented React Forget back then, but React compiler to the world few years ago. So he worked on that React compiler team, and then he moved from working at Meta to working at ByteDance, creating this framework that is supposedly a React Native competitor that is focused on speed and performance. So this, why you should care? Because like it has a lot of like big brand names behind it. It has HarmonyOS support, which is unusual in a sense because you have some products from China that are supporting HarmonyOS, but the frameworks that we are used to using, like React Native or React or like, I don't know, Valdi probably from Snap, don't have that. And that might be actually a big thing because China has billions and billions of, not users. What does China have? Like people in China.
Citizens.
And they all use HarmonyOS, probably. Not all of them, but some of them are using this system. So that's why you should care. And this is not the first Chinese framework I researched this yesterday with ChatGPT because I wanted to say this is the first Chinese framework. It's not. There were others before it, like from Alibaba or some companies like that, but this feels global. Those earlier ones, they were really targeted at Chinese developers. This one has English documentation, English examples, etc., English-speaking community. Those other ones might not have that. So you'd have to learn Chinese. And why do I say that you should care? Because this is first global Chinese framework. They have 2 billion users and they have a lot of developers. Things coming out from China, like frameworks, will gain traction. And also maybe you will work for companies that want to target Chinese market or Asian markets in general. So you should care about this for those reasons and others. But like those are the main ones that I think are important. So what is it? This is open sourced family of technologies that all combined together allow you to build apps for iOS, Android, HarmonyOS, and web right now, with macOS and Windows support coming later, I guess, in November or December. You have the Lynx engine that allows you to do all of those like crazy performance things. You have React Lynx. It says idiomatic React on Lynx. I'm gonna touch on that later, but this is a like React language support for Lynx. You don't have to actually use React with Lynx. Almost half of their internal projects are not running React. They are running some other things like Vue or Angular or something like that. But around half of that is written in React, and only React right now is officially supported for open source for external community. So you have Lynx for web that allows you to use Lynx on web. Prim.js, this is a big one. So they have their own engine. It's very similar to React Native, right? So React Native has this engine Hermes that's built specifically for React Native. They also have their own engine Prim.js that is written specifically for Lynx. RSPD is the build tool for Lynx, and then DevTools. So all of that lives in one repository, in one organization on GitHub, and all of that code is open source, so you can look it up. What's unique about Lynx? Yeah, like I said, I don't have any like nice animations. Those are just bullet points. If you have any questions, just like drop them as well. So this is unique. CSS in mobile is something that React Native tried to accomplish, but failed, I think. And the style sheets, the styling in React Native is one of the biggest hurdles that web developers feel is something that's blocking them from actually shipping proper native applications with React. With Lynx, you can still use your beloved CSS and it runs natively without any transpilations or anything like that. You have multi-threaded rendering. With that Prim.js engine, the default, it's hard to conceptualize, but bear with me. So the default way you run applications for Lynx.js, your client code that you actually write will run on the low priority thread. So the main thread will take care of rendering. So this will be really fast. It will fire up your app really quickly. And then everything you write will run on the background thread. It's called by default. You have to specifically opt in to use main thread to run your client code. And then there are a few different APIs that allow you to go from one thread to another. I think like 3 different ways of doing that. By default, they want you to be fast. They want your application to be fast with this multi-threaded rendering approach. If you want to know more about that, they had a really good talk on React Universe Conf this September. So, and it's explained there with graphs and with animations and all of that. And then Harmonious support, like I said already. It's React-like. Why do I say that? Because they don't actually use React. On their website, they say they support React 17, but they don't. They actually use Preact under the hood. Yes. So Preact stopped, not stopped, but Preact is based on React 17. So that's the mental model of writing with Lynx, is that you are not using React as a framework, as a library, as something that Meta and React team ships every 3 years or something. You use React as this meta language almost that gives you the primitives, but you don't necessarily will be using all of the newest things from React 19, etc. So you have to be careful about that. But I guess like this goes with performance, because like React is really lightweight and it still allows you to use React primitives. And then the unique selling point of Lynx is brownfield first. So what is brownfield? Brownfield is where you have your existing application written in whatever, actually, and like natively, in iOS native, and then you want to include some other framework, some other technology into that application. You want part of that application to be built in something different. So React Native allows you to do that, but the default approach of building React Native apps is to start the apps from scratch and build entirely with React Native. This one is different. They added Lynx screens on top of existing TikTok application. So some of that TikTok application that your kids are using is powered by Lynx.js. In order to get started, it's not that straightforward actually. And if I have time, I can show you some small demos of the setup, but there are 3 main ways to get started. First is Lynx Explorer. If you are familiar with Expo Go, this is something similar. So in Lynx Explorer, you write only JavaScript, and then your JS bundle is consumed by this native shell application. You don't own any of the underlying native code. You don't change anything in native code there. This is basically a playground. It's a really fast way to get started. You just download that Lynx Explorer app, you install that app on your simulator for iOS, Android, or HarmonyOS, and then you start Bundler and you consume your JavaScript package bundle. And then that's all. You are up and running. But in order to share your app with someone or maybe publish, you can't use the Lynx Explorer app. You can't change the icon and the name and all of that. So you need to have your own native code. This is where brownfield comes in. So what you do is you build your own, you create your own native shell, as you would with native Android and native iOS, and then you embed Lynx.js application into that app. This might be more tricky to do. So in order to make that easier, few people that I know, Shimon and Oscar, they created community CLI, which basically what it does is it will create your new native project and apply all of the changes necessary for Lynx.js. And basically this is where it leaves you with greenfield project, as you would have with React Native. What's some cons of the last approach is that this project is very early. It doesn't have HarmonyOS support. It may break in some cases. So like all of those things are pretty new. So if you want to start your production project with Lynx.js, you should be careful with like choosing the right one. Maybe your right one will be a brownfield for you, maybe community CLI, but you would have to do some legwork in order to make it work for you. What's the developer experience like? What's the developer experience like? Okay, you get the fast reloads as you you are coming from web, so like you are used to it. But for native development, fast reloads, when you change your code and in order to see changes on the screen, it can take minutes sometimes with older tools. With React Native, you get that because that's a JavaScript bundle, and with Lynx.js as well, you get fast reloads. So if you change something in your JavaScript code, it's gonna be visible on your screen instantly. Still, if you change something in your native code, it will not. You have to compile that bundle again. You get real CSS, which is a big deal for web developers. They actually, on their website, one of the paradigms they want to follow for Lynx.js development is to use as many of web standards as possible, which is not something that React Native used to be doing, but they started doing this from the start. So real CSS. You get Preact with all of the pros and cons that I already mentioned. For primitives, you actually use lowercase letters for all of the views, text, images, different from React Native. And this is something that this new framework, Valdi, also is using. So this is, again, like something that feels more natural to web developers instead of doing uppercase view, I guess. But you can still name your own components with uppercase. And then for developer experience, this is early stage. They released this in March. So there are a bunch of things missing and you have to pay attention to that. But they're coming, like they have a roadmap that they are sticking to really well. And like some of the things that I'm gonna mention are mentioned on that roadmap page. So what's not there yet? We don't get native navigation. And native navigation is huge in mobile, is huge in native applications. Because if you are going to just use like React Router or like something like web-like, your users on mobile will notice. You want to have native navigation in order to like make use of all of the gestures, all of the like native feedbacks of like native design language. So that's really big. Another big thing is mobile APIs. For now, if you don't bridge them yourself, you don't have access to from JavaScript to notification, location, and other native APIs. Something that React Native and Expo is really great for because like all of that is already developed. But this will bring me to, I'm gonna skip this one for now. This brings me to the community. Because why does React Native have all of that already? Because React Native has 10 years of community development behind it. And if something is missing and I need it, I have a lot of examples and recipes for me to go there and build it myself. I have a small contribution in React Native Maps, for example, because I worked in a project 7 years ago that needed that native functionality that React Native didn't bridge for me. So I went into native code and I created that mobile API for myself. This is what is missing in Lynx.js still. The community that wants to, I guess they do want to, I'm on their Discord, so like there are a bunch of eager people to help, but at the same time, community needs to have some examples and recipes and like places and time to come up with all of those things. So for now, most of development on Lynx side comes from Lynx team, which is not the case for things like React and React Native, because we have a huge community that is coming together to bring those things for us. And like this is ecosystem maturity, basically. So I suspect that if we give Lynx some time, and if we maybe start contributing, which I will encourage you to do, we will see maturity, we will see the community, and we will see all of that. And then we can take all of the benefits of really fast scrolling 5-second videos for our own apps as well. So what is next? So this is early, but ByteDance is serious in a way that they published all of that with a big hype in March, so 9 months ago, around that. They are releasing Lynx versions every 2 months with the roadmap and with community support on Discord. It feels like early days of React Native. When I would start working on a project, I didn't have something, I had to hack it. I had to talk with the community about it, what's the best approach. Something will break, something will not work correctly. But at the end of the day, I was able to create React Native apps 7-8 years ago. This is the same place for Lynx. And like, if you look at Polish development community, we have 2 huge companies that are working in React Native space. So that's Callstack that I work for, a company from Wrocław, and a company from Kraków, Software Mention. Those 2 companies are now in, how is it called? React Foundation. The React Foundation that was announced on ReactConf a month ago, 2 founding members of that foundation are from Poland and are like very deep, they have very deep roots in React Native. And most of the other members are companies from US, huge companies like Microsoft and Meta and Expo, etc. So my prediction is, if you want to get involved in something that can bring fruit 2 years from now, 5 years from now, this is a very good place to start. It has big overlap with React Native. So maybe you will find some libraries that work for React Native but don't work for Lynx. Maybe you will just create a 1 PR to that library and it starts working on Lynx automatically. Now you have recognition in Lynx community, for example. This is great entry point for open source because there are a bunch of things that are still not there that are quite easy to do. That CLI that I showed you, how to bootstrap a new project, Shimon and Oscar did in 2 days on some kind of work retreat in the mountains. They are open source contributors, so they know what they're doing, but still, it took them 2 days to create something that works, that creates new projects from scratch with Lynx.js in it. There are a bunch of things like that that still need to be built, and those early things are not hard. If you try to contribute to React Native right now, you have to know C++, Swift, Kotlin, all of that. And like all of the easy things are already out of the table, already done. This is early. And this, yeah, that's the same thing basically. Lots of things are missing. So get involved. This is my talk. I did it in 22 minutes. So I can take some questions right now, and you can connect with me on X. Go ahead.
Have you tried some? So out of all the things, you mentioned like taking the web and building something for devices out there. Did you try other things like Tolerate, for example? Did they mention?
Yeah, I just spoke with someone in the hall about Tori. I didn't try Tori, unfortunately. From very quick browse through on the hall, it looks similar, where in a sense that it's framework agnostic. It's like library agnostic, so you can use React or you can use some other web technologies. But I haven't tried Tori. No. But it seems like more mature in a sense because it's been around for a while.
Yeah, but also the company making it up is going bankrupt, so
okay,
there's that. But yeah,
well, that's a good thing with the ByteDance, right? You might like TikTok or not, but it's a huge application with billions of users and with billions of dollars, for example. So like that's probably be pretty stable. Yes.
Bit of topic, but just curious. Do you use Qwen for writing links, helping the system, or like all other AIs are more fine with?
So I don't use AI much. I use Cursor, and it works with Cursor.
Which models were just throw the?
I don't know. No, like I didn't like stress test it for like particular models. But it's basically so like CSS, right? And React, it should work with both. But then the thread hopping from background thread to main thread, I guess you have to feed it with a lot of documentation in order for it to get that right. And there are a bunch of things not easy in that like threading model. So like I guess you have to be expert yourself as well if you want to use that functionality. You can try to be on the background thread all the time, but probably that will not take you very far. So like you do have to understand Lynx in order to write it. Probably with some other more common things like React, for example, like AI can just like bootstrap the whole production up for you with no mistakes. But like with this, probably not.
Okay. One more.
Yes.
So you're mentioning these background threads, main threads, rendering, multi-thread rendering. I attend JavaScript meetups exclusively. Can you explain those multi-threadedness?
Can I swear here?
No children here. So.
Okay, so I will not explain it. I can give you my reasoning about it, like how I reason about it. I don't know what happens on like the processor level or anything like that, but Lynx runtime takes your code and splits it in two different bundles. One bundle will be background bundle and the other bundle will be main bundle, like main thread bundle. And it will execute the code from that two bundles. I don't know if those are two bundles, but like let's conceptualize like that. So like you might compare it, and actually they did compare it on that talk from React Universe this year to like server and client. So you would have like your server running the background code and sending the UI to the client, and the client will just display it. So if you, in Next.js, if you orchestrate that really well, you will get the quick first paint, but then you will do some other work and then probably stream some more content to the page. You might conceptualize it like that. I do, because I don't know what happens on the processor level with this.
Isn't that somehow similar to React Native? Like the architecture also gives you one main thread?
React does not have this mental model.
No concept.
So that's why this might be tricky.
But Reanimated has, no?
Reanimated do have that, but it's different because what Reanimated does, it will maybe with the worklets actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe something similar. But like, so in React Native, your framework, your React Native engine will not provide you with this. You would have to go through other tools. In here, this is baked into the engine itself. So like you are forced to think in that mental model with Lynx.js. And actually, one last thing, because like this is a very good, this is like 27 minutes.
Oh no! According to my clock, it's been a half.
Okay,
we started at 8.
Last point.
I'm sorry. We don't have that much time for that.
Yeah. So with this big overlap with React Native, you have to be careful with that, right? Because with the two-threaded model, you have to pay attention to this. Not all of the libraries will work with the two-threadedness. Thank you. Thank you so much.